Hey everyone, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing the Isofarian Guard. And disclaimer that I received a review copy of the updated edition of the game. So the Isofarian Guard is an epic adventure game covering multiple linked campaigns where you control two characters wandering around this large overworld, and also going into smaller specific cities and towns. And one half of the game are narrative encounters, a main storyline, as well as side quests and challenges and caravan encounters, lots of variety there. But then as you move around and engage in quests, you get into combat with your characters who can level up, and it's mainly a bag builder where you're pulling chips from a bag and using them to activate abilities, and then withstanding what the enemies throw at you in return. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about the Isofarian Guard. So first, from a number 5 point, which is generally a pro for my taste, I'm looking at the enemy variety in the battles. So each enemy you face off against, and you can have up to 4 enemies in a given battle, will have their own activation deck, and they tend to be quite varied among the enemy types. Some of them are more support and defense and tanky characters, other ones hide in the back and plink you with arrows. A minor complaint is that you don't really know what the enemy is going to do, and sometimes the effects can be pretty random compared to what you do. But I still appreciate the variety, and often when you're on a given quest line, you'll fight the same type of enemy over and over, so you'll kind of get to know what their options might be. But yeah, there are just a metric ton of enemy types in this game, and even within an enemy type, you have multiple levels you can face off against. Although that is another caveat, having to pull out the enemies and put them back after each battle can get a little bit annoying. My number 4 point is focused on the development of the characters and settlement in the game, and this one's a mix for my taste. On the positive character side, there are a lot of things to modify for your characters. You can level up their items and equipment, unlock new abilities for them in challenges and quests, as well as on their unique skill tree. But on the negative side for me, while the abilities are the more interesting and combo-licious part of the characters, often the most important thing for you to level up is your equipment, your weapons and armor. And the main reason for that is it gives you a blanket increase to your attack damage and defense, which is just higher numbers and more damage getting through on enemies, and I don't find that as exciting as the cool ability combos. But back to the positive, each of the guards and pairs of guards you play with in the different campaigns have very different combos and abilities and kind of themes and mechanics that are a lot of fun to explore if you can go deep into the gameplay. I also need to mention the fort. This is your settlement, and you'll be leveling it up with resources and things to unlock buildings where you can do challenges and heal yourself and have a boat to travel on. My number 3 point is a full pro for my taste, and that's the narrative in the game. But first, some caveats. You are going to be reading a ton. It is just a lot of narrative writing in the game. And also, although the storyline gives you the illusion of branching choices, and they sometimes matter a little bit, generally the branches aren't really important. So this is a pretty linear, straight shot, although the side quests do vary that up some. But the main storyline of your stonebound fighting against this encroaching, corrupting force is really pretty well done. And really, in the 2 campaigns I've explored, they go to pretty epic places and like really awesome moments with some of the narrative beats that I had a lot of fun with. Next, for my number 2 point, I'm looking at the combat choices and bag building in the combat, and this is a pro generally for my taste. So as I mentioned, you're pulling out chips from your bag and then placing them on abilities to resolve them. But then for most characters, after you've used an ability, it flips to an alternate side, and there's lots of combos and kind of big attacks and big defensive turns you can set up. That's a lot of fun to explore with the different characters. And the bag building itself, while most of it is temporary, getting these green and red chips that go away after you use them, there's a lot of cool ways for allies to boost each other by putting chips in each other's bags. The enemies will add negative conditions into your bag for you to draw. It's a pretty neat system overall. The one big caveat, though, is I've found, especially in earlier chapters before you've unlocked more stuff, that you'll tend to use the same combos and the same actions over and over again. So with your 2 guards for a given campaign, things can get kind of repetitive. And unfortunately, repetition is the name of the game for my number 1 point, which is a full-on con, at least for my taste. And that is the video game-ish grind in the game. And again, this is just for my taste. Some people might really enjoy this. I would compare it to the grind of the original Tainted Grail, for anybody who's played that. So a large portion of the gameplay in Isofarian Guard is moving from node to node, and every time you move to a new node, you draw a token from this bag with a 3/5 chance of triggering a combat. And combats are not that quick, especially later in the campaign. They can be 10, 15, even 20 minutes with setup and teardown. So you could fight here, then fight here, then fight here, then finally get to your quest where you will also fight, because pretty much all the story beats are punctuated with a combat. That's the only real mechanic in the game besides moving around and building up your settlement. And you're also going to harvesting spots on the board and grabbing different ores and grabbing different woods. but you got to skim through the city indexes to figure out, oh, okay, if I go to this city, what kind of weapon can I get? Okay, what kind of resources do I need? It feels a lot, and this is why I named the point after this, like a video game, except you are the one in charge of finding all the cards and dealing with all the stuff, and you are having little random combats like you're playing a Final Fantasy game over and over and over again. And for better or worse, that's going to be the majority of your time playing the game. The fun story and narrative section is going to often take back seat to you just kind of wandering around and fighting and grinding resources and leveling up to be able to keep up with the increasing challenge. So overall, if you're looking for an epic adventure game that will give you tons of hours of enjoyment, lots of building up, and a strong narrative, Isofarian Guard might be perfect for you. But on the other hand, if you don't like repetitive actions or combats or grinding, if crafting your gear doesn't really excite you that much, this one might be a miss. And if you want to see the game in action, we have a couple older plays on the channel, one from Steve and one from Bernd. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.